Your discretionary budget right now is $37.8 billion.
The FY25 request is for 37.8.
That's not what I'm asking.
I'm sorry?
What's your current budget?
Well, it's 3.5% less than that, so I can take out my calculator and do the math, but I don't have it in front of me.
All right, well, let me put it another way. You're asking for an extra $467 million, is that right?
In the increased amount of money that we're asking for, that's approximately right, yes.
Okay. To your knowledge, in the past, let's say 40 years, has the Department of Justice ever come before Congress and said, we don't need any more? We're going to make it with what we've got in light of the fiscal circumstances in the country?
Senator Kennedy corners Attorney General Merrick Garland in one of the most jaw-dropping Senate hearings of the year, demanding answers about why the Department of Justice allowed the statute of limitations to run out on Hunter Biden's alleged failure to pay taxes on over $1 million in income, and why personal deductions for prostitutes, a Lamborghini, strip clubs, sex clubs, and pornography memberships were never properly prosecuted. In this full breakdown, we walk you through every segment of Kennedy's relentless questioning, from the DOJ's ballooning nearly $50 billion budget that has never once shrunk in 4 decades, to Garland's admission that he has 24-hour security while advocating for gun control, to the stunning fentanyl exchange where Kennedy suggests Mexico's president is essentially in the cartel's pocket, and finally, to the bombshell Hunter Biden exchange that left the entire hearing room speechless. Let's dive into the main video.
Nice to see you again. Thank you for being here. Your current budget, by my calculations, is $48.3 billion. Is that right?
The budget request is for $37.8 billion, the FY25 budget, and that would constitute a 3.5% increase over.
But with mandatory spending, your budget's 48.3. Is that right?
I don't have the number for including mandatory, but I'll certainly be able to get back to you for that.
Well, let's take out mandatory.
Yeah.
Your discretionary budget right now is $37.8 billion.
The FY25 request is for 37.8.
That's not what I'm asking.
I'm sorry?
What's your current budget?
Well, it's 3.5% less than that, so I can take out my calculator and do the math, but I don't have it in front of me.
All right, well, let me put it another way. You're asking for an extra $467 million, is that right?
In the increased amount of money that we're asking for, that's approximately right, yes.
Okay. To your knowledge, in the past, let's say 40 years, has the Department of Justice ever come before Congress and said, we don't need any more? We're going to make it with what we've got in light of the fiscal circumstances in the country?
I normally wouldn't want to speculate, but in this case, I can't imagine that the Department of Justice, facing increasing threats every year, violent crime, threats to our national security, drug trafficking threats,
Is that a no?
I don't know the answer, but I think it would be surprising if the department ever asked for less money. I think that would be not responsible.
You talked in a little bit in your testimony, General, about guns, and you've been very outspoken about the need for more gun control. With respect, and if you don't mind me asking, do you own a gun?
I don't.
Okay. Have you ever fired a gun?
Many times.
Okay. Do you have 24-hour security?
I do.
Okay. Let me ask you about fentanyl, because that's a huge problem, and I know you're worried about it, as are we. And we've, of course, got a problem with the precursor chemicals coming into Mexico to the Mexican cartels who manufacture the fentanyl and send it into the United States. Isn't a big part of the problem that if you took the Mexican drug cartels and turned them upside down and shook them, that President Lopez Obrador would fall out of their pockets?
Well, I'll leave the metaphor aside. The department has said that we do not have an investigation of the president of Mexico.
Do you think President of Mexico is our friend?
We need cooperation from Mexico. Mexico has been somewhat cooperative with respect to our fight against the cartels, not as helpful as I wish they were, but without their cooperation, we can't be successful in destroying the cartels.
Why wouldn't the president go to President Lopez Obrador and say, no offense, but the fentanyl problem is killing Americans. The illegal immigration problem is hurting Americans. If you don't cooperate with us, and he clearly hasn't been, and he's not afraid of us, we're going to implement tariffs on Mexico until you do.
I think there are many ways to encourage cooperation from another country.
But that would do it, wouldn't it?
I don't know whether that would do it or whether...
You don't think that would get his attention?
I am not a diplomat. I'm not a foreign affairs strategist. I know we need their support and cooperation.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that would be positive or negative.
So we just ask politely.
Well, we do more than that, but
Right.
considerably more than that.
let me ask-
I don't know the answer to your
Okay.
high-level
Let me ask you one
strategy
last question in my 14 seconds. I've been dying to ask you this question.
How long have you been dying to ask me this question?
Long time. Long time. Mr. Hunter Biden did not pay taxes on $1 million in 2014 and 2015. And he deducted payments from his income tax for personal expenses when he did file. For hookers, for a Lamborghini, for strip clubs, for sex clubs, for porn website memberships. Why did the Department of Justice let the statute of limitations run?
As you well know,
So
Senator.
you can't prosecute?
As you well know, Senator, that investigation is being conducted by Mr. Weiss, who was appointed by President Trump to be the U.S. Attorney in Delaware. Much of the investigation you're talking about occurred during the previous administration under Mr. Weiss. Mr. Weiss has continued his investigations. He's now a special counsel. He will issue a report which
So are
will
you saying
explain
it's
those...
Trump's fault?
Which will explain... No, I don't know whether there's fault or not. Mr. Weiss will explain this in his report.
But we can't. Mr. Hunter Biden walks free on not paying taxes on $1 million from 2014 and 15 because the Department of Justice let it happen, right?
Again, I'm not going to comment on decisions made in a pending investigation. In the end, Mr. Weiss will issue a report. I will provide the report to Congress. You will be able to question Mr. Weiss as to his reasoning, and he will be able to defend his reasoning.
Would you come with Mr. Weiss when he does that?
I'm not going to know the intricacies of Mr. Weiss' investigation. There would be no point. It's Mr. Weiss who's responsible for this investigation.
But you were head of the Department of Justice.
Yes, and I've appointed him as special counsel so that he can independently investigate this matter.
Okay.
Senator John Kennedy walked into that room prepared, precise, and purposeful, and he walked out having done exactly what the American people sent him there to do: ask the hard questions, demand real answers, and refuse, point blank, to accept polished political deflection as a substitute for accountability. From the very first exchange about budget numbers, Kennedy demonstrated something increasingly rare in Washington. He had done his homework. While Garland fumbled through figures he should have known cold, Kennedy had the numbers memorized, cross-referenced, and ready. That is not a small thing. That is a senator taking his oversight responsibility seriously, treating taxpayer money with the respect it deserves, and refusing to let a cabinet official skate through a hearing on vague generalities and rehearsed talking points. On fentanyl, Kennedy said what millions of grieving American families have been screaming for years: polite diplomacy is not working. Americans are dying by the tens of thousands, and a government that responds to that catastrophe with more meetings, more requests, and more carefully worded diplomatic communiques is a government that has lost its sense of urgency and, frankly, its moral compass. But it is the Hunter-Biden exchange that will echo longest. Kennedy did not sensationalize. He did not grandstand. He simply stated the facts clearly, specifically, and on the record. $1 million in unreported income, personal deductions that no ordinary American would ever dare attempt, and a statute of limitations that expired quietly, without prosecution, without consequence, and without explanation. Every working American who has ever been audited, penalized, or prosecuted for far lesser tax infractions deserved to hear those questions asked out loud. Kennedy asked them. Garland could not answer them. And that silence, that careful retreat behind process and procedure and a report that is always just around the corner, speaks louder than any answer Garland could have given. Senator Kennedy reminded Washington and the entire country that no name, no family connection, and no political alliance should place any American above the law. Equal justice is not a slogan, it is a promise. And on this day, Kennedy fought to keep that promise alive.